Two Pros and a Cup of Joe here on Fox Sports Radio, and the summer of Tire Rack Sweepstakes rolls on. One winner has already been selected to win a set of 4 brand new tires, and now 2 more winners have the opportunity to win a set of 4 tires plus installation, taxes, and fees valued at, check this out, up to $1,500. Enter daily, which gets you a new entry into the contest every single day at foxsportsradio.com to boost your chances to win. 2 more winners will take home a set of 4 new tires between now and August 27th. To enter and get rules, visit foxsportsradio.com. Sponsored by TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be. So the Dallas Cowboys, apparently this is a big year for them. And apparently the Dallas Cowboys have got all sorts of issues that have popped up over the past couple of days. So they had a running back get popped for PEDs. Yeah, big
happens.
deal. You know,
no big deal happens.
You know, he's what's his claim? Tainted substance or a supplement he got from the mall or something like that.
It was probably a horny goat weed.
Yeah. Could have been that. You know, maybe Bob Baffert is his trainer. You know, you never know. Could be something like that. Zach Martin's holding out. Now you've got people who are posting videos of Dak Prescott throwing bad interceptions and making light of the fact that Dak was saying that he wouldn't throw.
No more. He said tipped.
Yeah, tipped interception.
Right. He didn't say interceptions
I
in general.
think he was
tipped.
asked later on, though, and he did come out and say he was going to throw less. Like that actually got some legs, and some people followed up on that. Because I did see an article. It's like, oh, no, he did follow up and say he's going to have less.
Yeah. And then Jerry Jones is being asked at Cowboys camp in Oxnard, or as Brady calls it, Knoxnard. Jerry Jones has been asked about
his blood pressure.
Well, also
all that salty
because of the salt on the McMuffin. But there's this other thing going on where it's a little weird that Jimmy Johnson is not in the Cowboys Ring of Honor. Like
that is kind of weird.
Yeah, considering.
Come on.
Yeah.
How long ago has that been? Last time they won Super Bowl?
Last time they were, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and so Jerry Jones was asked about that whole situation, and this was Jerry Jones talking about why Jimmy Johnson is not in the Cowboys Ring of Honor.
I'm proud that he'll be going at some point in the Ring of Honor. I'm not prepared to say when, but I've known usually when someone's deserved, but I haven't known when I'm going to decide to do it, and that usually has to do with the surrounding, the nature of the season we're having, those kinds of things, timing.
Yeah, he'll get to it at some point. He'll get to it at some point.
I mean, because he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, isn't there like it's like steps to this, right?
He's got a different timeline than the Hall of Fame voters.
Well, I was going to say, usually isn't it like the Ring of Honors first? Most teams want to acknowledge the fact when they've got a future Hall of Fame player or coach. Like they go in the Ring of Honor first, then they go into the Hall of Fame. Like typically that's the cycle, right?
Yeah, and look, there's other coaches that are in the Ring of Honor for the Cowboys. Gil Brandt's an executive. He's in the Ring of Honor.
Rightfully so.
Brady, you know him. Tom Landry, Tex Schramm, also they're in the Ring of Honor. It feels and stands to reason that Jimmy Johnson would have been there at this point, but apparently that's not the case. And
okay, I've got a question for you all.
Not there. Yeah.
Does Jerry Jones not want to bring back Jimmy Johnson because you could kind of make the case that, like, that's what most people's memories of the Cowboys are.
100%.
Like, when you think of the Dallas Cowboys and, like, when I was growing up, how dominant they were and their battles with the 49ers and just that era with Troy and Emmett and Michael and all the great players they had. Jimmy's the coach. And that's what you remember them for. Like, and the crazy thing is, that's what Jerry Jones is still selling. Like, he's still selling the dream of that team, of those Hall of Famers, those great players, that Hall of Fame coach. And they really haven't been really that close to that at all.
I think he'll be inducted into the Cowboys Ring of Honor if the Cowboys win another Super Bowl. That's far enough removed from the Jimmy Johnson era. Because I think deep down inside, even though Barry Switzer gets credit for the Super Bowl, sorry LaVar, sorry Eddie, the Neil O'Donnell disaster game in Arizona in Super Bowl 30.
It's not his style to take the blame, though. It's a team. It was a team loss.
Yes, it was. But even though Barry Switzer won that Super Bowl, and full credit to Barry Switzer for it. I think deep down, Jerry Jones knows that was what Jimmy Johnson built. And the only way he's going to induct him into the Ring of Honor is if he wins one that Jimmy Johnson has nothing to do with. And then he'll feel comfortable inviting him back, because I think he's too insecure about it, and it still bothers him that they haven't been anywhere close to what they were when Jimmy Johnson was there. I mean, it's been 30 years they haven't been to a conference championship game. It's been a long-ass time since Jimmy Johnson was there, and still nothing to show for it.
Let's just be clear. There's no excuse, no reason good enough that could be given as to why a person like Jimmy Johnson hasn't been honored and put in his rightful place in Dallas history. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I mean, we can debate it. We can go back and forth about what Jerry Jones feels or what they have and haven't done since him. But regardless, right is right. I mean, I'll say this. I'll even put this out there. I mean, I was put in the 70 greatest when it was 70. It hit the 70 anniversary of Washington, the football team. I was put in I was one of the guys that were voted in on the 70 greatest Washington football players.
What a VAR?
Yeah.
What up, Washington?
And we certainly didn't have
top 70.
I mean, I'm not in their Ring of Fame, but it doesn't matter.
By the way, you and Mark Murphy are also in that same Washington.
Don't you want to be in the new Stadium Ring of Fame? Like, why do you want to be in the old one? Like, does that translate?
I didn't say I
over?
wanted to be in any of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was just saying. I was just stating the obvious.
Why RFK?
I was just stating the obvious.
You might want to be in the newer one.
I was just using it as an example.
Yeah,
that's all.
Okay.
I'm just saying you don't have to like the person to give them their honor that they've earned. Like Jimmy Johnson earned that honor as a Dallas Cowboys head coach. That's all I'm saying.
He got that thing rolling too.
Yes, he did.
Like remember when he took over? Okay, they were a 1-15 football team.
So bad.
They were so bad. Like, if you look at his win-loss percentage, that had everything to do with him rebuilding a program. And mind you, Jimmy Johnson had that grace period because he was coming off of rebuilding Miami. Miami was an 8-5 football team the first year he got there in '84. And then from there, it was double-digit wins, New Year's 6 games, or national championship, for example, in '87. But just dominant, talented, incredible teams, which ultimately, sprung him to the Dallas Cowboys in '89. But, after really year one, I mean, they were more competitive in year two, still on a losing record, but that's where they became dominant. It was the 91, 92, 93, that series of years where they lost, I think, in the divisional round in '91. But then they won back-to-back Super Bowls, and they were rolling.
I just think how you can not honor that time period, which is arguably the greatest time period in the history of the Dallas Cowboys, is a little wild. Ooh. It's a little wild. Yeah, I know.
Some would argue Tom Landry.
They did great things, but it's this as far as Jerry Jones goes in his timeline as Cowboys owner, that was the highlight, and it's been 30 years since. It's like, dude, let it go. You guys did it together. It's look, Tom Brady and the Patriots. Much
shorter sample size, but and I get it. Like when you go back to the 60s and 80s, you're talking about. It wasn't as big of a playoffs as it was when it got into the 90s, but. I mean, I think they missed between 66 and 85. They missed the playoffs twice. They won 2 Super Bowls in that span, and they only missed the playoffs twice. And mind you, the 2 years they missed the playoffs, the Cowboys, they still had winning records under Tom Landry.
Wow.
So, look, Tom Landry takes the cake. It was just after Landry left, or I guess you could say at the end of Landry's time there, that's where, they brought in Jimmy Johnson to build the thing back up. And he truly did rebuild it. But I would say that was the golden era, and then Jimmy Johnson kind of had that new area of what a lot of us, weren't alive or weren't able to see what Tom Landry was able to do.
Johnson's got to be on the short list. If we're talking in totality, NFL and college, greatest coaches of all time. He's got to be.
He's one of the most polarizing, that's for certain, because he did it his way.
He did, man.
Yeah, but wouldn't you say though that he let players be themselves?
He's like the first. He's like the first of the first to do that.
The bag
out there in Stillwater. I mean, just recruiting his tail off.
Schnellenberger got it going.
Hey.
And then Jimmy Johnson came in with the type of swagger that, I mean, he might have been one of the original swags. Like, he's one of the originals.
Coach, we're not sure if we want to go to Miami. Oh, no? Yeah, Bobby Bowden was just here. Okay, well, there's a duffel bag out back behind the tractor. Let me know what you think.